You are not going live, why not? There it is. Right, here's the link. Come on over and spam chat once you get there. You are not going live, why not? Getting Ableton installed, the installer part is... Right, here's the link. Come on over and spam chat once you get there. I'm still having issues getting Ableton installed. You are not going live, why not? The installer part is... What? Getting Ableton installed, the installer part is... Ooh, hey, I just realized I'm feeding back into myself, aren't I? Alright, that should be alright now. Just tell me if everything's... Is that looping over itself still? Or has that chilled? That seems to have chilled. I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay, cool. So last week we covered no, so it's actually week 3. If you remember, the first week was kind of scratched. There was like a staff something for the first week. So it's actually officially week 3. I just remembered this today. So yeah, it's week 3. So, what are we doing here? So we covered a few things last week. We looked at the general interface, where everything was, e.g. the master transport control, the tempo, metronome, time signature, all the rest. We also talked about, the scene session view, where the mutes, volumes, pans were, the library and all of its contents, well, a lot of its contents, let's say, oh, well, it was just samples really. Master channels, and we talked about firing scenes and clips. If you remember, we also talked about, what was it? Quantized firing of clips, e.g. like so. We can hear the click going away. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I've clicked it. 3, 4. It comes in on a 1. Whoa, that's hot. And we spend a bit of time kind of messing around with that. We also briefly kind of explored, which we will kind of cover a wee bit more over the next following weeks, where we started looking at warp markers. That was at the end of last class, where we were adding warp markers in on waves, and we were kind of moving them around to firstly kind of rectify any issues or timing issues or timing issues. But we also looked at extreme versions of that, as grabbing sections of waves and making it weird. And in turn, while doing that, we also briefly looked at all these algorithms and what could be done with them, if we remember all of that. So great. Sorry, let me just see what's going on. Yeah, we are good now. Sure. Okay, so today we're going to have a look at my memory. Let me just quickly pull up the syllabus. So we're going to start looking at sequencing. Now, with chat being a bit delayed, does everyone know what Midi is? Actually, a better way to put this, does anyone not know what Midi is? So I'm going to assume that... I don't think your idea is coming through. Can hear your voice, but nothing from Ableton. Ooh, really? Okay, 2 secs. Preferences. It is the VIO. No, it is not the VIO. It is... Apologies. That one. So you should hear it now. Let me just check that. So let me know if you can hear that. Okay, sweet. For those who don't know what Midi is, let me just get rid of this. Midi is a data type. So we have virtual instruments, we also have synthesis, we have all these kind of electronic devices that we need to control, and it's not like an acoustic instrument where we can, hit a string or anything like that, or blow through a reed. With Midi, it's about taking a data type and sending a data type to electronic. Oh, someone's in class. Oh yeah, cool. And sending that data type to electronic devices or virtual devices. So Midi works in, which you may have seen in other programs, we usually have a piano roll, like so, and we can click and create notes. We also can set the velocity for those notes anywhere between 0 and 127. So it's just data that controls virtual instruments or synthesis, electronic instruments. So before we get to that, we want to have a look at our drums. So in the categories on the left here, click on drums. And if we notice here, we do have drum hats. So these are single shot samples. But for now, just so we get moving, we also have the drum rack, which we will dive into after this kind of first section. Is underneath here, underneath drum rack, if we click once, we should be able to hear a preview. Do you hear that? I'm not sure. Let me just double check. Yeah, you do. Sure. So this drum kit here, I'm going to drag onto a MIDI track. So this is a MIDI track now, not an audio track. And then we get this down here. So this is known as a drum rack. There is a collection of simple single shot samples, like I mentioned before, that fill a drum rack. And if you kind of can see, it's like the Novation Launchpad or Ableton Push or something like that, which is kind of like 4x4 pads, MPC. And then we load samples into each of these pads. Now, if we looked underneath that sample, if I just delete, let me just delete that sample for a second. We would see that it starts at C1, C sharp 1, D1, D sharp 1, etc. And we just keep going up and up and up and up. So great. I'll just bring these back. So firstly, we want to sequence these one-shot hits. We've got little play buttons here so we can preview those samples. Let me know if that's quiet or loud. It's hard to get a sense of reference. So we can push the little play to preview each of the samples loaded into the slots. But we can obviously sequence it. Quite a common practice. And the way we do this is just like the audio clips. When we had an audio sample over here, we have audio clips inside of the session view. We also need a clip for the MIDI, and the way we do this is by creating a blank MIDI clip. The way we do this is by just clicking on any of the blank slots in that track. So if I double click here, it creates a clip. And note, this bottom section has turned into the piano roll. And if we scroll through, we can see all the samples that are in our current drum rack. So remember, if you want to shift back to the instrument or the effects or anything, we push Shift Tab, and that'll go there. The other way is by pushing, what is it? These two buttons here. So we can see the piano roll, Shift Tab to go back. So if we want to make any tonal changes to the samples, we can do so. And then once we need to sequence it, we come here. So correct. So currently, if we look, we are currently at 1 bar length. We can see this by all these little numbers up here, but the easiest way to see it is, so there's one beat, and then these are 16th notes inside of that first beat. But if we see 1.2, so there goes second beat, third beat, fourth beat, and we can also see it by the shading of the, on the piano roll. So currently it's 1 bar. We can extend this if necessary. If we look in this first section here, notice we have length, and we've got these 3 numbers. Now remember, we have this info view here. If we ever need to remember what something is, we can hover over it, and if we read inside of here, it says loop length. This shows the length of this clip or envelope loop in bars, beats, and sixteenths. So anytime you see these 3 numbers like this, it's always going to be, the first one's going to be bars, how many beats, and how many sixteenths. So you can make not necessarily, equal bar loops. You could do weird, syncopated rhythms, polyrhythm stuff. But for us, let's just maybe increase it to 2 bars. So there goes 1, and then the beginning of the second bar. Alright, so to preview your sounds again in this view, we need to first turn on the headphones found at the top of the piano roll. So notice there's this little headphone button. If we turn this on, we can now preview the sounds by clicking on the piano roll. And then from this, we want to start sequencing. And the way we do this is by just double clicking anywhere within our piano roll grid. So you can use your arrows as well to move up and down, left and right. And just remember, when we push spacebar, obviously it's not playing this clip because we have to because we have to actually push play on that clip. Sure, we progress. I'm just going to turn off my metronome. What do these other kicks sound like? No, ratchet. Oh. Why not? Oh no, that's not very nice. So, we get the process anyway. We go through and we can start clicking away like madness and start sequencing it as we wish. Note, we can also duplicate if we wish. So we can go Command or Control D to just start spamming notes. And if we wish to repeat kind of more chunks, so say this first beat, we want all of this beat, so this gray area, to repeat, we can do so by making sure that we select those blank areas, and we can tell by seeing this blue line. Notice this blue line, so this is what is currently selected, and if I duplicate that, now it'll duplicate whole beat areas rather than just 16th note. So we can also do bigger chunks, obviously. Say let's do 2 beat area and repeat that. So we can start to kind of go through and do our sequences. Feel free to, increase your loop length as well. So here's 4 bars now. And again, I can now select whole areas, making sure I select all of it. But note that I have definitely, with this little blue marker at the top, I've made sure I've selected all 4 bars. Sorry, 2 bars. And I can duplicate that. Now I have a 4 bar length. Maybe I want to get rid of those. Oh wait, what am I doing? Wrong. So let's take like 10-15 minutes to just kind of sequence some beats and just get used to this process. Yeah? Mean. I'll see you back in class.